So let me show you how to make a really sweet little bag, and I mean that's actually a pun in this case, because this little bag I've designed after the little Sweet Talk Love Heart lollies that you can buy. I thought it goes, so I'm making this for my unicorn art doll, and it is just an ideal little bag to put with any of your art dolls, for your teddy bears, so many of my patterns you can put this with, or just to give to a child as a little tiny little pouch. So we're going to start with the main body of the bag. So what we have is a front and a back section. We have a gusset that we put in the middle. So for the front section, we've got our two pieces. Now I'm making this like a sugar cookie with the icing on top. So I'm using just pure wool felt for mine. You can use washable acrylic. All of these pieces are cut from felt with fusible webbing applied, okay? And then same with the icing. We have a filler that goes in the middle. I'm using fusible foam. It's just going to pad that bag out a little. And same for the back. In the case of the back, I don't put icing on the back. You certainly can. You've just got your two pieces again, and then you need your filler to go in the middle. If you don't have fusible foam, you can certainly use a little bit of wadding. That will work well. So the gusset of the bag is our two strips, and they also have fusible webbing. We're going to fuse those together, and in each end we're going to be adding our little strap. As far as the length of the strap goes, you'll need to make an estimate and measure whoever you're making it for, whether it's for a child or for a doll, and make your own measurement. Just to help you, mine to fit my unicorn art doll is 40 centimetres, and I'm just going to be introducing the ends here. I'm going to fuse those edges together and stitch across. So, and I also will be adding some pretty little beads that all work with my project, some really sweet little pastel brights there. I'll be adding those to the strap, and they will sit down here. So for the two little charms, I have created just little tiny hearts like the sweets that you can buy, and I've got your front and back is interfaced felt. You have an interior filler heart, which is stiffened felt. If you don't have stiffened felt, you can just use an extra piece of felt. It just gives it a little more substance. And then for me, I'm just adding a coordinating heart button on the top. I like that it gives that little bit of shine. And of course, same, I've made two there and going with the green there. I'm going to be adding a little loop to hang those charms, and I'm using a 5-ply pearl thread that matches my pink, and they'll be added into those. We're going to be blanket stitching around everything, so you'll need your appropriate colours, as I have here. And also I'm using 5-ply thread to sew my words on there, and I'm using a deep maroon because it's just a deeper shade than the pink itself. Okay, so that works best. Rather than going for another colour family, you're best off doing a deeper shade. If I was doing it on the purple, I would have a really deep violet or a really deep violet blue to do my words, and a darker green if I was sewing on the green. In saying that, you could embroider a little word across there like love or you know, kiss me or whatever you like. For me, I really want the shine of those little buttons. Okay, so to get started, let's begin on the bag itself, and we will do those charms after. But first, let's start with these two pieces. Now I'm going to be doing my embroidery on this front section, so I'm removing just the paper from my icing piece, and I'm going to leave the paper on the back of this one, otherwise it's going to stick to your ironing board. So we're going to take that to the iron, line that all up so you've got space all the way around, and press that one into place. So with that icing heart fused into place, you now have two options. You can hand sew this edge here to keep it in place with a blanket applique stitch, or you can do what I'm going to do. I'm going to do just a satin zigzag stitch all the way around in a matching colour, because the whole outside edge of the bag is going to be blanket stitched, and in this case I don't want to be doubling up on that. Now once you have that little heart stitched into place, you can go ahead and you can draw out your little message, your little words. You can add anything to this. You may just want to make a little heart bag that has some little embroideries and so on. For me, I'm just imitating these little sweets, and so my words are sweetheart, and I've kept them very blocky. It's very like an Arial font. So it's all blocky, it's all capitals, and once I've stitched over that and removed those marks, it's going to be very effective. As I said, I'm using 5-ply pearl thread. I'm going to start up here at the top of my S, and I've done all of this in heat erasable marker. So all I'm going to do is a link to back stitch to do my embroidery. So each time going back into the last exit hole, so that your letters and your lines are making a smooth line. And take your time when you're drawing up your little design. And if you get it wrong and you're using heat erasable marker, it's easy just to take it back to the iron, remove those marks and start over. It's even possible just to isolate one letter if you need to change that, but it's really worth getting it right. So you can see I'm getting a nice thick but very clear line for the start of my letter S, and I'm just going to continue covering all of those letters. So now my stitching is all done, and I've taken this to my iron and removed all of those pen marks, and now we're ready to put the other pieces together. So I have removed my backing paper from the back piece. This one is fusible, that's going to go in the middle, and then this one on top, making sure that you've got room all the way around the outside, and you're going to fuse all three together. This is the same. You do the same thing with the back three pieces, which I've already done, and you can see all of those edges are beautifully fused, and it just gives that a little more volume in the middle, but it's still nice and soft on the outside edge where we're going to have to sew. So let me get those three all fused together carefully. Next, I want to prepare my strap. I have to do that now because we're actually going to be inserting it in either end of our bag gusset. So I have decided to make a little row of my hearts. It's still all keeping in with my theme. Just to test it out, it's going to sit a little like this. So they'll be sitting down at the side of the bag here, and this is what we'll be showing. So you can imagine what you can do with that. So much fun with pretty beads. Okay, so what I need to do, I can pull all this up now, and I'm going to take my two bag gusset pieces, remove the backing paper, and all I need to do is make sure that as I fuse these two pieces together, I'm just going to insert just the very end of those as I do it. I'm going to do the same with the other end. Fuse them in place one at a time. And then when that is all one piece, I'm going to go ahead, take it to the machine and just stitch across the end there and there so that those little ends are nice and secure. So now I have those little straps all nice and secure in the end of our gusset. Find the centre of that gusset, fold it in half and find your centre. Now we're going to take the first one. I like to start with my front piece, and I'm going to take my pin through, straight through that centre there, and then I'm going to start to pin all of those edges together right the way round. You could clip them, whatever works. I actually might use my fine clips. We'll try those. And we'll pin that or clip that. Until we run out of gusset. If you've centered it at the base, you won't have to worry about it not ending up at the right place, because it will. And then I'm going to go ahead and make sure this is centered, fold that up and pin the other side into place. So I'm just going to start my blanket stitch, and I am going to do 2 stitches right on top of each other to begin with. Now we're going through quite a few layers of felt here, but they're very soft, so they don't have interfacing. So you'll find it really easy. And this rim here really helps you. It acts as a guide. Make sure that you're bringing your needle out through the loop each time. Catching everything here. Right, and pull those in nice and tight. That's going to give us a beautiful binding stitch around the entire outside edge. And it's also going to bind our little bag together. You can see we've got that lovely binding stitch that's going to run all the way around. Make sure you're keeping your edges nice and even. Make sure that you're rotating your work as you go, so your stitches are fanning out. I have a full tutorial on how to sew a blanket stitch on PayItForward. But most of you are absolute pros at this stitch now. You can see that's just going to bring this all together beautifully. Of course, you can use contrasting colours or whatever you like. So I'm going to continue on right the way around. I'll finish off 2 stitches here at the end of my gusset, then continue on and finish off that edging and cast off here. Once I've done that, all I need to do is repeat with the back section and do exactly the same thing. Pin in your point and sew the other side of the gusset to this one. I now have both the front and the back pieces of that bag stitched together, and you can see what we've got is a lovely little 3D bag, holds itself beautifully. This would work just as well for a child, just as a little crossbody bag. Just lengthen the strap to suit, but all of the little details by adding in the beads and so on, you can see just perfect for tucking little treasures in there. This bag just makes me happy. So now we're going to go ahead and we are going to make just the little charms. Very simple. Now you could do a number of things for charms. You know, you could even just use some large buttons and hang them from the side there if you're after that sort of shiny effect. Like I said, I've added already the button on the front, so it gives me that little bit of shine. So this is one I've put together. Now I just need to blanket stitch around the outside, but let me show you how I've done that. So first of all, on my front piece, I've sewn my button in place. You might sew on a little flower or something like that. And then I've got my back piece where I'm going to take some clear craft glue, and I'm first going to glue this doubled over piece right down the center. Make it the length of the whole heart because it'll give it more hold. So a bit tricky to show you that on camera, but I will glue that one into place. Then I'm going to glue my little centerpiece, which is stiffened felt, which gives them some nice hold. And then I'm going to glue the top piece on, and then that little loop is captured in between the layers. Make that loop as long or as short as you like. And you can use a little bit of ribbon for that. If you have a really fine ribbon, that would work well. Once it's all glued and it's dried, we can just go ahead now and just sew the little blanket stitch around the entire outside edge, which I will do with both of them. And in this case, I'm going to match my colours. I've now gone ahead and added my 2 little charms, just with a couple of jump rings on the side of the bag there at the base. Just slip those through, and they are the perfect little charm and accessory with this one. Now there's a couple of other ideas I have for you. If you're making this for a child, of course, you could slip some little sweet treats in there. This could also be a little Easter bag. It certainly would accommodate some little treats. The other thing that you can do is create your own little sweets. I have just taken some gorgeous crystal beads and I've just wrapped them and tied them off with some extra strong thread. I particularly like the crystal ones because they shine through and look like candy. This is what I would do with an art doll. This will be for my unicorn. And I just use your normal snap block plastic and wrap it up. You could also do this with some tulle. You could do it with any kind of netting, and just pull it in and vary the little sweets inside and even the colours, but the crystal ones do work best. And I will tuck those in there. It's just a little extra surprise in there. You could even do this with just plain fabric and make up little parcels. Also, all of our little friends fit this bag beautifully, and I particularly love little Kitty in there. Isn't that sweet? That would just make the most beautiful gift for a child, and she just looks so beautiful sitting with my unicorn, so I may even add her to that whole collection. So excited to see what you're going to do with this. Like I said, it's a blank canvas really, this one. So many ways you can embellish this. I really hope you've enjoyed seeing it.